Finally, one more thought, and this time it's not from me. It's from Carlyle co-founder David Rubenstein about the events of a year ago when a mob stormed the Capitol building to stop one of the most important steps in the U.S. constitutional process, the counting of the electoral votes. His reflections.
In my lifetime, January 6th will be an important day because that is the day when we had an invasion of the Capitol, the first time it's happened since 1814, when the British invaded our country. And nobody really thought this could happen. And so it's amazing to me that it did happen. But more amazing to me is that 1 year later, we are still in the same situation. If we didn't prevent another thing by having cops or military people there today, I suspect you could have another invasion of the Capitol. There are a lot of people who really, really are upset with the way the election went against Donald Trump or the way that other things have happened. And so I do think there are a lot of people in this country today who do believe the election was stolen. There are a lot of people in this country today who believe that those who stormed the Capitol were not insurrectionists, but just tourists and not doing anything that's inappropriate. And as a result, I think the country is bitterly divided. It's not as bad as a civil war, but it's clearly a country is divided, and it's reflected in the Congress. The Congress is bitterly divided. Nothing is really getting done of any consequence because the country is really bitterly divided.
Stormed the Capitol building. They are marching.
The business community, I think, is disappointed that the country hasn't moved on. What business people like is certainty, predictability. And right now, there's a lot of uncertainty and a lack of predictability about what the federal government is going to do. So I think that the business community, by and large, wishes we had moved forward and we were not in a situation we are today. But the business community is a realistic community, and they recognize that right now the country is fairly divided. The Congress is fairly divided. It's unlikely we're going to get major legislation one way or the other that President Biden wants. So I think the business community would like to not be involved in commenting on this. The business community wishes this was behind us, but the business community recognizes that for the foreseeable future, we're going to be living with this division in the country, and this bitter division is going to be probably increasing, not decreasing. The rule of law did prevail. There were 65 lawsuits that were filed by the people who thought the election was stolen, and 65 times the courts threw them out. So the rule of law did prevail. And the truth is that the rule of law does prevail in this country. And the truth is the military, you now know, was not prepared to overtake the government, though there were some people in the administration, I think, who wanted that to happen. But the military stayed out of it, and the rule of law did prevail. Whether it will prevail in the future, I don't know. But right now, I think the rule of law is going to prevail in the United States. And that is one thing that people around the rest of the world really admire us for, which is the rule of law does exist in this country. And despite the events of January 6th, rule of law did prevail.